The cameras were already rolling before Caitlin Clark even stepped onto a WNBA court for the first time. Reporters crowded the tunnel, fans filled arenas hours before tip-off. Ticket prices skyrocketed overnight, and suddenly, a league that had spent years fighting for attention was now at the center of the sports world. But here's the problem. The WNBA wanted the attention. They just weren't prepared for what came with it. Because Caitlin Clark didn't arrive like a normal rookie, she arrived like a cultural earthquake. And now, the entire basketball world is panicking. This story didn't begin in the WNBA. It started long before that. Back in college basketball, Caitlin Clark became impossible to ignore. Every game felt like an event. She was pulling up from the logo, talking trash, breaking records, and turning women's basketball into must-watch television. Millions of people who had never watched a women's game before suddenly became obsessed. Families were gathering around TVs. Sports shows led with women's basketball highlights. Arenas sold out everywhere she played. And for the first time in a very long time, one player completely changed the energy around the sport. But success creates pressure, and the bigger Caitlin Clark became, the louder the criticism got. Some people loved her confidence, others hated it. Some called her revolutionary, others said she was overhyped. But none of that stopped the momentum. If anything, the drama only made her bigger. And that's exactly why the WNBA believed her arrival would change everything. What they didn't realize was just how fast things would spiral. The moment Caitlin entered the league, the spotlight became overwhelming. Every game suddenly turned national. Every hard foul became a viral debate. Every post-game interview exploded online. And suddenly, WNBA players who had spent years competing without mainstream attention were now being analyzed by millions of new viewers overnight. That changes people, because pressure changes everything. You could feel the tension building almost immediately. Veterans played her aggressively. Fans accused players of jealousy. Analysts argued nonstop on television. Social media became a battlefield after every single game. And Caitlin Clark was right in the middle of all of it. But here's what made the situation even crazier. The more physical teams became with Caitlin Clark, the more attention the league received. Clips of hard fouls spread everywhere online. People who had never watched the WNBA suddenly had opinions. Some fans believed players were targeting her. Others argued she needed to earn respect like every rookie before her. And whether people realized it or not, the league had entered dangerous territory because the conversation stopped being just about basketball. Now it was about culture, attention, fame, and who deserved credit for the WNBA's sudden explosion in popularity. That's when things really started getting uncomfortable. You started hearing former players speaking out publicly, commentators arguing live on TV, fans attacking each other online every single night. And at the center of it all was one reality nobody could deny. Caitlin Clark was generating a level of attention the WNBA had never experienced before. Television ratings exploded. Arena attendance surged. Merchandise sales went crazy. Road games felt like playoff atmospheres. And suddenly, teams were moving games into larger arenas just to fit the crowds. Think about that for a second. One rookie was changing the economics of the league in real time. That kind of impact creates excitement, but it also creates fear. Because once massive money and attention enter the picture, everything becomes more intense. Every controversy gets bigger. Every criticism becomes louder. Every rivalry becomes personal. And that's exactly what happened. What made Caitlin Clark different wasn't just her shooting range, it was the way she pulled casual fans into the sport. People who never cared about women's basketball suddenly cared deeply. And when new fans enter a sport, they bring emotions, arguments, and expectations with them. The WNBA wasn't fully prepared for that level of scrutiny. For years, the league operated in a smaller spotlight. Players could compete without every single moment becoming national news. Now, everything became content. One stare-down turns into a week-long debate. One hard screen becomes headline news. One technical foul dominates social media for days. And through all the chaos, Caitlin Clark somehow kept getting bigger. That's what really shocked people. Usually pressure breaks rookies, but Caitlin seemed to thrive inside the madness. The louder the crowd became, the deeper she pulled up from it. The more criticism she faced, the more fans rallied behind her. And slowly, the WNBA realized something terrifying. This wasn't temporary hype. This was a transformation. Because Caitlin Clark represented something larger than basketball. She became the face of a new generation of sports fans. Fast-paced highlights, big personalities, rivalries, drama, viral moments. She understood modern sports culture perfectly, and whether critics liked it or not, she became impossible to ignore. But with that attention came another problem. Nobody talks about enough pressure on the players around her. Imagine spending years building a league, sacrificing for the sport, fighting for recognition, only for one rookie to suddenly receive more media coverage than almost everyone else combined. That creates tension, not because players hate greatness, but because humans naturally react emotionally when the spotlight shifts, and fans could feel that emotional tension every night. That's why every Caitlin Clark game started feeling bigger than basketball. It felt personal, the crowds got louder, the physicality increased, the rivalries intensified, and suddenly, random regular season games felt like playoff wars. That level of emotional energy is rare in sports, and ironically, it's exactly what helped the WNBA grow even faster. Because controversy creates attention, and attention creates business. That's the uncomfortable truth many people don't want to admit. The debates, the drama, the arguments online, all of it made the league bigger. People tuned in because they wanted to witness the chaos themselves. Would Caitlin dominate? Would another player shut her down? Would there be drama again? The unpredictability became addictive, and for the first time in years, the WNBA became part of daily sports conversations everywhere. But here's the craziest part of this entire story. Caitlin Clark never asked to become the center of a cultural war. She just played basketball. Yet somehow every game became a statement about the future of women's sports. And that kind of pressure is almost impossible for any young athlete to carry. Think about how insane this situation really is. She entered the league as a rookie, but immediately faced superstar expectations. Every bad game became national news. Every mistake got analyzed online. Every interaction with another player turned into controversy. Most rookies get time to develop quietly. Caitlin Clark entered the league under a microscope, and somehow she kept surviving it. That resilience is a huge reason why fans connect with her so deeply. People love athletes who embrace pressure instead of hiding from it. And Caitlin leaned directly into the storm. She kept shooting, kept competing, kept showing emotion. And the more intense things became, the more invested fans got. That's why the panic around the WNBA feels so real right now. Because the league is changing faster than anyone expected. The audience is bigger, the pressure is heavier, the spotlight is brighter, and there's no going backward anymore. The old version of the WNBA is gone. Now, every game carries massive expectations, every storyline becomes national conversation, and every major moment involving Caitlin Clark instantly spreads across the internet. Some people love that transformation, others clearly don't. But one thing is undeniable. The WNBA was never fully prepared for what Caitlin Clark would become. Not just a star, not just a rookie, but a phenomenon. A player capable of changing business, culture, and sports conversations all at the same time. And whether this story ends in greatness, controversy, or something even bigger, one thing is already certain. Caitlin Clark changed the WNBA forever. And now the entire basketball world is trying to figure out what happens next.